Hello everyone. Today we have another nice top 10 list, specifically about the quintessential depressive belief. I am wrong. Something is wrong with me, something is weird about me, and something is not right with me. And today it's about how you can recognize this belief in everyday life, how you can expose it and then rewrite it, and keep changing it until you stop believing that you are wrong. Specifically, 10 situations where you unnecessarily make yourself wrong. Welcome to Soul Tapping. Today it's about 10 situations where you unnecessarily make yourself wrong. The question is, why do we actually believe we are wrong? How does that happen? Well, because we have thought it over and over again. The thoughts that are most frequently repeated in our heads are the ones we believe. That's the principle of advertising. If you're repeatedly told that you need this important consumer good, then you believe it and buy it. You don't actually need it. But yes, it's simply about the more often you repeat it, the more likely you are to believe it's true. And now, today I want to make you a bit more aware, to pay attention in everyday life. What are the situations where you think these thoughts? Because we need to notice it exactly when it happens, and consciously decide to think a different sentence. Simply follow it up with a positive sentence. Don't fret when it happens, just simply notice, there it was again, I'm wrong, the belief, turn it around. There's nothing wrong with me, I am right just the way I am. And the first situation that comes to mind is, of course, when you are criticized by others, when you are judged, when you are evaluated by others. That basically means when others make you wrong with their views, with their evaluations, with their thoughts. So basically, this is that one big societal belief that what others think about me determines my worth and is more important than what I think about myself. So, feel into it when you experience such a situation, when your boss criticizes you or a snippy colleague, or when your partner has something to complain about you again. Or your children or your parents or anyone else. How does that feel? So, what does that do to you? It creates feelings of shame, guilt, and regret. In any case, your vibration goes down, your mood, your energy goes down. You are essentially moving away from the path of healing because the path of healing involves raising your vibration. The question is, why do you allow this? Because you think it might be true. Because you think you are wrong. Is that true? No, it's not true. There is nothing wrong with you. And that's why just say this sentence, then, I am right the way I am, no matter what others think. And it might be that when you send this sentence afterward, it creates a feeling in your stomach, it's okay, it's normal. Over time, that will stop. If you experience that, it's not a stop sign, but just an interesting experience. Breathe, feel, let it flow through, check it off. All is good. Point 2, a situation where you unnecessarily make yourself wrong when you are different from others. We recently talked about this in the video about wanting to fit in. Wanting to be normal, to belong to the herd, to be safe. So, you think if you look different from others, if you think differently from others, if you feel differently from others, if you perhaps have different interests than others, yes, others might be into these classic consumer goods. Phones, cars, fancy vacations, and you somehow aren't. Maybe you prefer living alone, you like reading, you enjoy being with yourself, with animals, or something else. Instead of going to the club or something, then, you think you're wrong. You might think that, or maybe you don't think that at all, so, I don't want to impose anything on you. I'm just telling you what I often encounter, when people make themselves feel wrong. But that always applies to all of my videos. What I say here is not always the truth about you, but rather offers from my experiences, so you can feel if it resonates with you. Yes, is it the same for me? Then take it as a valuable insight. And if not, then discard it. That is your right. You don't have to accept everything. You don't have to accept societal beliefs, nor do you have to accept my opinion. It could just be that you make yourself feel wrong for being different in some way from others. And you don't have to. Say the sentence, I am right just the way I am, no matter if I am different, no matter what others think. Point 3. You might make yourself feel wrong if you don't have a happy relationship. This is also a societal belief that you are good and right if you are in a partnership, if the partnership is fulfilling, works well, and lasts forever. That means being single is bad. Separation or divorce is bad. There's always someone to blame. These are societal things where you might start interpreting things. Possibly. Something like, I'm single because no one wants me, or I have no idea, I'm separating, or being separated because I'm incapable of relationships. Are you perhaps creating new beliefs for yourself? No. There's nothing wrong with you, rather, you are right just the way you are, even if you don't have a happy, fulfilling partnership. That would be an example where you might think of us, but you don't necessarily have to. Point 4. You might consider yourself wrong if you don't perfectly fulfill your roles. That means your role as a mother or father, if you think, I'm not a good mother, I'm not a good father. Or the good son, the obedient daughter, the faithful wife. Or the faithful husband. Or I'm a great, efficient employee who always arrives on time, always does everything excellently, always perfect. I'm the best, most amazing friend, I'm always there for my friend. So yes, these are the kinds of expectations that we place on ourselves, which we can't possibly all fulfill. And when we can't do that, we blame ourselves for it. That's not necessary at all. So if you're ever exhausted and can't do everything, there's nothing wrong with you. If you want something different than what your parents want for you, or something like that, or than what your children want for you, I often have people who say, my adult children want me to go to the clinic, to get help here, to take medication. I don't want that at all, and then you blame yourself because you think they know better than you do about what you need. No, that's not the case. There is nothing wrong with you. You are allowed to stand by your opinion, you are allowed to listen to your feelings. We have to keep practicing that. And even if you don't feel like going out with your best friend sometimes, that's okay too. You are still a good best friend. You are not wrong because of that. So basically, it's about us always trying to be the way others want us to be. And that's exactly what's wrong. So, say the sentence, speak it out loud with me. I am right the way I am, no matter how others want me to be. Point 5. You might feel wrong or blame yourself if your partner cheats. Or maybe not. People are different, after all. There are those who immediately start blaming the other, condemning them, making them out to be terrible, they're awful, they're bad, they're MHH. But some go in the other direction, maybe depending on the experiences you had in your childhood. Some then say, go ahead and condemn themselves. They blame themselves, make themselves wrong. I should have done something. I shouldn't have said this or that. I should have taken more care. I should have, would have, could have. I've already made a video about that. So, you should notice that. And stop it. You are not wrong. It could also be, for example, that you're on the other side, that you accidentally cheated. Or something like that. What if there's nothing wrong with that either? So, yes, these are all patterns of judgment about what one is allowed to do and what one is not allowed to do. Of course, it doesn't mean that you can do anything you want, regardless of who you hurt and so on. So please, don't think in black and white, don't go to the other extreme. Instead, it's about raising your awareness. To break down the mental prison walls that say what is right and what is wrong, and that you must be wrong if certain things happen. That's not the case. Okay, point 6. You might consider yourself wrong if something doesn't work out for you immediately or if others can do it better than you. Then you see yourself as wrong. That's the perfectionism that is so widespread here. This belief that I have to achieve everything, I have to be able to do everything, otherwise I'm wrong, is of course also due to our school system. I've often talked about how I believe our school system, our education system, really messes things up for us, for the children, by somehow suggesting that we need to get top grades in every subject, because that's the ideal. Why is that? You can't be good at everything. That's not possible. You can neither achieve everything nor can you be good at everything. And if you don't achieve that and constantly get marked with a red pen, you start to feel like, I'm wrong. Because you take it personally. Even when it's said, your performance isn't good, you take it personally as a person. That happens automatically. And then you think you're wrong because you didn't achieve this and you didn't achieve that. And then you start to compare yourself. Because within a school class, comparisons are naturally always made. Among the students. That is so deadly for self-esteem. And maybe you still have this as an adult, the feeling that there are people around you who are completely perfect, who succeed in everything. They have a great marriage, they have great kids, their house is always clean, they always have money, they have this, they have that. And in comparison, you think, oh God, I'm wrong, Anne, I'm bad. I've often heard such stories from clients who then had to admit, well, and this woman whom I always admired is now in burnout. Strange. Doesn't surprise me, because she has an even more extreme perfectionism, this woman who seems so perfect on the outside, because it's so important to her to appear perfect outwardly. So, others have the patterns too. So, yes. Exactly. Comparison is not good. Others are neither more perfect nor more correct than you. Say the sentence again. I am right, just the way I am. No matter how others are, I no longer compare myself to others. Okay. Point 7. You might consider yourself wrong if you don't have a big 1. High school diploma, college degree, a big job, and a lot of money in the bank. This societal pressure, this belief is somehow there. If you have something, you are something. So, if you have nothing, then you are nothing. And if you don't have, I don't know, there are many who are ashamed of it, who waste their life energy feeling ashamed, because they didn't go to college or because they, I don't know, don't have a highly respected super job or something like that. Maybe you consider yourself wrong for that, so pay attention to it. Maybe you're also unemployed and completely blame yourself because you think, because you judge yourself, I'm a failure or I'm too old, I'm too stupid, I'm too. Don't blame yourself for that. There is a reason for everything that happens in life. And maybe this is a phase you need right now, for whatever reasons. Could be. So, remove the judgment, and if you, which can sometimes happen to people who are unemployed, if a thought like, I must be useful to society, comes to you. It's often a feeling like, I'm useless if I don't have a job. You should question the belief about when one is useful to society and when not. And I invite you to watch the video again, where it was about this excessive adaptation, where I talked about societal things and societal norms and beliefs. If you have the belief that you are only useful when you work, then you should question that. Because if, for example, you are currently in a depression, and you are sitting at home, unable to work, but you are doing inner work, you are in therapy, you are doing the work where you question yourself and your patterns, where you are taking care to change something within yourself, then you are incredibly valuable to this society. So, please be aware of this, you don't have to work to be useful to a society. There is simply so much more beyond the walls of societal thought prisons. I just want to give you this thought that you might be contributing to healing society. Instead, let's say, if you keep running in the hamster wheel like everyone else, that's not really useful. Because what society needs is not for the hamster wheels to keep being run in, but rather, a change is needed here. And you might be a part of this incredibly important and healing change by working on yourself and transforming. So, I can only tip my hat to those people who do this, because they are incredibly valuable. And truly helpful to society. Point 8. You might be blaming yourself for not being able to love yourself. I greet all my Facebook group members. In the group, love yourself, because you are wonderful. Everyone who feels like they somehow can't really love themselves. You might be blaming yourself for not succeeding in this. And that's a vicious cycle. You can't love yourself, and you blame yourself for it. And that's why you don't love yourself even more, because you think you're wrong. And it just continues like that. So, we really need to remove the judgment. Everything you think within your therapeutic or healing journey out of depression, all the sentences that start with, "but I should have by now." Forget it, you don't have to do anything like, "I should have had successes in therapy by now. I've been doing this for so long," or, "I should be able to, I've already watched Sabine's channel up and down, I should be able to implement all of this by now. No, I can't even do it myself. Well, I can do it, but not everything. So, yes. You can't always implement everything, that's something you learn very, very slowly, gradually. And I'm still learning myself. I'm not finished or anything like that. It's not all sunshine and rainbows for me. I just have a lot of experience, have learned a lot, have understood a lot, and have already implemented quite a bit. That's why I can talk about it now. But please don't beat yourself up for not being perfect at implementing what I'm saying here. Or, if you can't love yourself. Or if you're still blocked, if you have self-sabotage programs, if you have patterns running like I do with this one thing, tapping, meditation, or walking, or whatever, I started once, but then I stopped again. There's something wrong with me. No, there's nothing wrong with you at all. That's completely normal. The healing path is spiral-shaped. So, you always go through light side, dark side, light side, dark side. And if you stick with it, stick with it, stick with it, and work on the patterns and move into more and more awareness, then the spiral slowly goes upward, step by step, level by level. You just don't always notice it, like that. I've already made many videos on the topic, a healing path, about misunderstandings regarding the healing path. I've set up a dedicated playlist for that. You can check it out on my channel, there are a lot of videos on it. Also the one about stacking plates and so on. Oh, how lovely, a vintage car with a wedding couple. A dream. Cut. Wait not. You might be putting yourself down when you receive compliments. Has that ever happened to you? That someone gave you a compliment and you had a really uneasy feeling, then you deflected it at first, like, no, oh. And then you somehow downplay it, criticize it at first, because you can't handle just leaving it as it is, that someone has recognized what great thing you've done, that you have a great dress, that you, I don't know, whatever, so, yeah. Just a compliment. If it feels wrong to you, then it's just a feeling. Don't start making yourself wrong for it. Maybe you also think something like, I can't believe it, they're just saying that out of calculation. Because they want to build me up or because they want something else, they probably don't even believe it themselves. So, if you have really low self-esteem, then you might not even believe that they truly believe it. And these are all typical depressive thought patterns. You should recognize and perceive them. Feel what it does to you, let it flow through, breathe, and let it drain away. And practice accepting compliments instead of making yourself wrong for them. By simply deciding that when someone says something like that, just say, thank you. Period. And leave it at that. Just accept it. Even if it makes your stomach go brrr, that's okay, it's allowed to. Nothing bad happens. It's just a brrr. That's all it is. So, now we have point 10. You might be making yourself wrong, simply because you're stuck in a survival pattern. That means maybe you experienced trauma in your childhood. Abuse, violence, rejection. Maybe your parents were sometimes there for you and sometimes not. Maybe they raised you by ignoring you, maybe they played devious little power games with you, whatever it was. if you experience something like that. Experienced it, and if your parents or caregivers treated you poorly, then you didn't stop loving your parents, but you stopped loving yourself. That's a mechanism that happens. It happens in childhood because it ensures survival. As a child, you can't allow yourself to stop loving your parents. You have to maintain that loving connection to your parents, no matter the cost. That's why it happens that you don't blame your parents, because you think, yes, as a child, parents are gods, they always do everything right, so it must be my fault. That's the mindset of children because they can't think any other way yet. So, if you, let's say you have trauma consequences in your life, if you now realize this in your adult life, for example, you have exaggerated reaction patterns, that you are sometimes triggered, that you are switched, so to speak, that your inner child comes forward and you behave again. A little bit like a child. That you react to certain things people say to you, let's say by freaking out, by yelling, or even by pushing others away, running away, withdrawing, whatever. So typical, childish patterns could be. Then you are still right. These are simply typical reactions that can be changed very, very slowly with therapy. But you are not wrong because of that. And here it also becomes really interesting. Compared to the points we just had these points. Yes, if others criticize you, if others treat you badly, you are still good. But now the question is, what about the others? Are they wrong? What if they watch this video? What if your mother-in-law, who constantly criticizes you, for example, what if she watches this video? I would tell her the same thing. There is nothing wrong with you, dear mother-in-law. Yes, we must not make the mistake of falling into this trap. When we say, yes, I am being criticized, but I am still right, we should not then say that the other person is wrong. That is not true and it is not helpful. So, for example, it could also be that you didn't even realize you were on the other side. That you are constantly complaining about other people, about your children, about your partner, because this doesn't suit you and that doesn't suit you. Then you are the person who hurts others and maybe you don't even want to and don't even realize it. There is nothing wrong with you. No matter which side you are on. Because when such things happen, when things are said that are hurtful or when I don't know, when there's yelling, when things get out of control, or when such exaggerated reaction patterns occur, there are reasons for that. And indeed, always on both sides. And that's why I want to invite you to be really open and honest with yourself. If you are on this side or on that side, there is nothing wrong with you. And don't fall into the trap of judging others and declaring them wrong. Because then they are in the position where you once stood. And that's not helpful. Neither for your relationship, whatever form it may take, nor for the person themselves. So, yes. Maybe it's still difficult for you to open up to this. Listen to your inner radio to see if you have a kind of betrayal patrol. That means thoughts that where there's initially some resistance. What she's saying, they should all be right out there. That can't be. Then your voice from the back of your mind starts looking for some extreme examples. Murderers, Hitler, Putin, or so, to prove that what I'm saying here can't be true, because there are, indeed, evil, truly evil people out there. Listen to that. Interesting pattern. I often experience this when I make slightly provocative statements in my videos, that such comments appear below. Yes, but that's not true, because, and the people who have experienced this and that tell them that. That's a pattern. a thought pattern that you can lovingly observe in yourself now. It's a depressive thought pattern that keeps you trapped in your depressive ways of thinking. And if you want to get out of that, then you can. They can too. You can also detach yourself from it again. This fraud patrol is a persistent sabotage pattern. So always looking for an extreme example, just to prove that. This change in worldview must not happen now, because it's not true at all. But you are allowed to question your worldview, because if you have a depressive worldview, it has made you ill. And then you can just muster up the courage to open yourself a little to the possibility that there might be something to it. If it stresses you, tap, tap, tap. So, my dear ones, those were my 10 points. Now I would like to remind you of my affirmations, which you can order on my website. 100 loving self-messages, or affirmations, positive phrases specifically, for people with depression, which are guaranteed not to trigger resistance, but are very carefully worded. Where you definitely won't think something like, that's not true at all. So a grumble-free, beautiful 30-minute video, which I recorded especially for you. Just check out www.seelenklopfen.de. There, you will find a link to the page where you can get these affirmations. And there's also a new online course, in the works. Not finished yet, but I'll tell you more about it soon. It's about not just being a collection of tapping videos anymore. A collection of tapping videos, but a 12-week program, where I print you, in a structured way. For example, also through my YouTube channel, it's all a hodgepodge of various unstructured topics. And I'll provide you with a guideline and structure where you can work through it for 12 weeks to finally get a solid footing and truly make a change. In parallel, there will also be a live coaching program where, for 12 weeks, you'll receive additional intensive personal guidance from me with 2 sessions a week. In a small group. I'll tell you more about that soon, but, for this video, I wish you a wonderful day. Take care.